Okay, so good evening, fellas. Welcome to the class. We're gonna start, please, with the practice session. Okay, we're gonna practice today with the reading session, and we're gonna have 10 minutes to read, please. We're gonna read 10 minutes, please. We're gonna have, and then we're gonna respond 8 minutes, or 8 minutes, please. Okay. Let's start. I already sent you the text. WhatsApp. Okay, please send me your answers. I'm gonna go on with the questions. Send me your answers, please. We're gonna have 1 minute to respond. And please send me the number and then the letter. Okay? There you have. 1 minute, please. Send me the answers through WhatsApp. Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's analyze this. Okay, let's analyze this. We're gonna do this more interactive. In this case, well, according to paragraph 1, what was true of Europe during the medieval period? Agricultural productivity declined. Okay. So during the medieval period, in the late 16th century into the 17th, Europe continued to grow. The growth that had lifted it out of relatively less prosperous medieval period. Among the key factors behind this growth were increased agricultural productivity and an expansion of trade. Okay, so what is true during the medieval period? Uh, I have here two options. I have people who say is B or D. Okay, let's read these two options. So you send me those two options, right? It says foreign trade began playing an important role in the economy. Foreign trade, okay, and there was a relatively little economic growth. What is true during the medieval period? So here the answer is B, right? Because it says very clearly that it was less prosperous. They talk about the medieval period. So there was relatively little economic growth. Okay, they don't talk here about foreign trade. They don't talk about foreign trade here. Oh, they talk about an expansion of trade, but they're talking about an expansion of trade during the 17th and the 16th century, not during the medieval period. They only talk about the medieval period to say that it was less prosperous. Okay, so what is true? It's B. There was relatively little economic growth. Okay, let's move on. 1 minute descent. Okay. By the way, this is not number two. Okay. So I am only like, there's only one person who said it correct. It's not number two, it's number 30. Okay. So please send me 30 space and the number and the letter. Please. It's not two, it's 30. Okay. 30. Okay. So here I have one person that says is C, another who says is A. Okay, there are people who say it's, I'm not gonna say how many, but people who say it's E and other people who say it's C. Well, in this case, among the key factors, the important factors, it's C. Okay, instead of historical. Could have been historical, but I think that the closest meaning, the key here is important factors. Okay, so it's a much better answer. So important factors. Let's move on. 1 minute. Okay. So it's 31. Okay. Or you say B, some say C, and some say A. Okay. So it says populations cannot grow unless the rural economy can produce enough additional food to feed more people. Okay. During the 16th century, farmers brought more land into cultivation at the expense of forest and fence, low-lying wetlands. Dutch land reclamation. Okay, so what is one effect of the desired increased food production? What is one effect of that, of the increasement of food production? They use here the word desire. I think it's in order to deceive people. Okay, it's in order to deceive people. I think that's why they use the desire. What is one effect of the increasement of the food production? Okay, is it A, land was cultivated in a different way? Do they mention that? Okay, let's continue. Dutch land reclamation in the Netherlands in the 16th and 17th century provides the most spectacular example of the expansion of farmland. The Dutch reclaimed more than 36,000 acres from 15 1,590 to 1,615 alone. Okay, so, oh, 1590 and 1615. Okay, in this case, these are the years, not the number of acres. Okay, so they're talking about land reclamation. So in this case, land was cultivated in a different way. No, this is not true. Why? Because they're not talking about a cultivation of land in a different way. Okay, they're talking about some forest and fence being used, okay, for farming. More farmers were needed. Okay, some people said B. Uh, Okay, I guess that letter B could be an option. The rural economy was weakened. No, this is not true. The rural economy is not weakened. And forests and lands were used for farming. Okay, so the answer here is D. Forests and wetlands were used for farming. Okay, that's the answer here. One effect of the desired increased food production was that. So that's one effect. They don't talk about more farmers being needed. Okay, they talk about the answer is here. Farmers brought more land into cultivation at the expense of forests and fences. So that's the effect of the desired increase food production. I guess that of course you need more farmers to do that, but they don't specifically say that. Okay, they don't specifically say that, and that's very important because if you don't say that, it could mean that you are doing the same, you're increasing food production with the same amount of farmers, but using more land, that could be a possibility. They don't specifically say that they are increasing the number of farmers, okay? So that's something very important. So it's D. So nobody got it right here. Let's move on. Okay, that's it. Well, everybody says A. Yes, it's A. Okay, I'm not gonna give any explanation because nobody said anything else. Okay, so here it says paragraph 4. Okay, hold on please a second. Okay, so here it says paragraph 4 supports the idea that increased agricultural production was important for the expansion of industry, primarily because. So what? So why does paragraph 4 supports the idea that increased agricultural production was important for the expansion of industry? Why? because it increased the number of available workers in rural areas, provided new types of raw materials for use by industry, resulted in an improvement in the health of the rural cottage workers used by manufacturers, or helped repair some of the ravages of the 30 Years' War. Why? So you said basically A and B. Most of you said B. Okay, so provided new types of raw materials for use by industry. Okay, so in this case, the expansion, it says increased agricultural production in turn facilitated rural industry. Okay, so you're talking about agricultural production, that means food, facilitated rural industry. Why? Because in this case, they increase the number of available workers in rural areas. Okay, so that's the answer here. It's A. Okay. Why? Because it says that in this case, you have like, why? Like the idea, paragraph 4 supports the idea of that increased agricultural production was important because you have you increase the number of available workers in rural areas. That's the answer. Because you have an increasement of workers here. Okay, they're not talking about provide a new type of raw materials used for industry. It doesn't have anything to do with the increasement of agricultural production. Okay, so that doesn't have any relationship to that. So it's not B. Okay, they're not talking about new types of raw materials. Okay, so that's why it's not B. So if you say B, you're basically deducing that because you have more agricultural products, that means more food, you're providing new types of raw material for use by industry that's not doesn't have any relationship whatsoever. Okay? So that's it. Okay, so there's you can deduce that it's A. Somebody said A, so it's A. Okay, we're gonna move on. Let's do this. Okay, there are some people who say it's People who say it's A, another who says it's B, and another who says it's D. Meager. Okay, meager means in this case very low. Okay, so that's the definition of meager. So it's the word itself is like very miserable. Okay, like uh, very poor. See, it's very low. Okay, so that's a vocabulary question. Doesn't need any more explanation, I guess. Okay, let's do this. Okay, so here somebody says it's B, another who says it's D and A. Okay, so why does the author mention that English and Dutch ships were carrying rye from the Baltic Seas, from the Baltic states reached Spain and Portugal? To suggest that that England and the Netherlands were the two most important trading nations in the 17th century Europe? No, that's not true. They're not suggesting that. You need to read before that. More extended trading networks also helped develop Europe's economy in this period. So let's read that first. Okay. So after that, they're like giving an example of that. Okay, so they're talking about a more extensive network here. Uh, and then they're giving like an example here. So let's read B to suggest how extensive trading relations were. That's the answer here because they're suggesting that. You need to read before here. If you read before, they're talking about extended trading networks, more extended trading networks, extensive trading relations were. So it's B, okay, in this case. Let's do 36. Okay, wait for me for a second, please. I'm gonna go back. Okay, so it says here by including the quotation in paragraph 4, paragraph 6, by the financier from Ant Antwerp, the author is emphasizing that. So, what is he emphasizing with this quotation? That means the things that are inside a quotation mark. Okay. Sailing was an important aspect of the economy. So let's see what you answer. Most of you said C, C, B, and D. Okay, so in this case, let's analyze B, C, and D. Increase the number of water routes made trade possible. Increasing the number of water routes made trade possible. Okay, so it says one can no more trade without bills of change than sell without water. Okay, so he's saying that one cannot trade any longer without bills of exchange than sell without water. That means that you can it's impossible to sell without water, right? Like selling a boat. In that case, like he could have said no one can no more trade without bills of exchange than live without air, something like that. That's the meaning. That it's impossible. It was impossible to trade without bills of exchange. That's what he means or what he meant. Okay. So in this case, increase the number of water routes made trade possible. No, he's not talking about water routes. He's only like uh like emphasizing the importance of uh, bills of exchange. Let's see. Bills of exchange were necessary for successful trading. That's what he's saying. Okay. So it's not B because letter B, they're talking about water routes, like making you think that because it says water here, it needs to say water there, but it's not the same. And D, financiers often exaggerated the need for bills of exchange. No, that's not what they're talking about. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so here we have the question. Okay, so it says, according to paragraph 6, merchants were able to avoid the risk of carrying large amounts of gold and silver by using third parties in Marseille to buy golds for them. That's not an answer. Okay, that's impossible. Nobody said that, luckily. Doing all their business by using the Dutch currency. No, they didn't use Dutch currency. So it's not B. Okay. They don't mention anything about using uh no, they don't mention that using Dutch currency was the thing that they did in order to avoid the risk. Okay, they mentioned here the Dutch currency. They say that you could go in Marseille, an Amsterdam merchant pursuing soap or merchant in Marcel could go to an exchanger and pay the exchange the equivalent sum in guilders, the Dutch currency. Okay, so let's see letter C, paying for their purchases through bills of exchange. That's the answer. Okay, that's the answer there. Because how they avoided uh that's how they avoided the risk, because they could like purchase things through bills of exchange. Okay, bills of exchange. So that's something very important. Okay, you didn't need you didn't need like carry large amounts of gold and silver. Okay, because you could pay for your purchases through bills of exchange. Waiting to pay for goods until the good had been delivered. No, they don't mention this. It's not B. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so I have two answers here. I have A and I have C. Like, according to paragraph 7, until the 18th century, it was the principal function of which of the following to provide funds for the state. Somebody said A, bills of exchange. Did bills of exchange provided funds for the state? No. It's like saying that the function of the bills is to provide funds for the state. It doesn't make any sense, right? If I said that, because it's not the function of the bills, it's the function of somebody. Was it business investments? No, business investment is not a possibility. It could have been only exchangers who took loans or banks, okay? Because those are two subjects that you could say that they had some responsibility in providing funds for the state. In this case, it's banks, pretty obvious, okay? Okay, the phrase in English innovation in the passage is closest in meaning to. Well, I have A, C, and D. A new development introduced by the English. A type of arrangement negotiated in English. A type of partnership based on English law. Okay, so in this case, it's A. Because they're not talking about a type of agreement negotiated in English. They're not talking about the language. Okay. They're not talking about the language here. They're talking about the British. Okay. The British by the English. Okay. The people who spoke English. And they're not talking about no law. They're not talking about that. They're talking about a new
Uh,
development.
Teacher,
Yes.
it says like close to an English innovation, joint stock partnerships. I don't know. Yeah, they are not talking about a law, but partnership is a little bit confusing that part.
What do you think? It's A, B, C, or D?
I think it's D because it is like close to joint stock partnerships, and
On
like
the
I don't know what is joint stock partnerships. I know, but it says an English innovation close to that words like yeah, like new
Okay.
development just by the English. Like how can
Okay.
you
Okay.
say?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for participating. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you. So let's talk about your uh that. Okay. It's great that you participated. Thank you. Okay. Nobody said a word before, and that's great that you participated. Moreover, an increased credit supply was generated by investments and loans by bankers and wealthy merchants to states. Okay, there was an increased credit supply. That means that there were more investments and there were more loans by bankers and wealthy merchants to states, okay, to countries basically, right? And by joint stock partnerships, an English innovation. And they talk about, like, they say the first major company began in the 1600s. Unlike short-term financial cooperation between investors for a single commercial undertaking, joint stock companies, they talk about these joint stock companies or partnerships, provided permanent funding capital by drawing on the investment of merchants and other investors to purchase shares in a company. So this was the beginning of people purchasing shares in a company. Okay. So that's what's the meaning of joint stock companies. Okay. So
Okay, teacher. And another question: why do they put like a yeon like close to partnerships? I think
uh
that's confuses me. Like, why do they put the? I don't say how. I don't know how to say yeon.
okay, yes. Uh mm, like a dash would be, right? Okay, so in this case, uh it's an innovation, okay? An English innovation. That means that the British introduced this joint stock partnership. Okay, it was like the new innovation. Okay, they don't say that it's like an agreement found only in England, and it's not an agreement. Okay, it's not an agreement. Uh, like they don't say it's an agreement. Like I don't know if I can explain that, but it's not an agreement. It's like a way of providing capital to a company. That's what joint stock companies or joint stock partnership means. It's like a new way of creating a company. It's a new type of company. Okay, that's a new type of company. So it's not an agreement in that case. And also, it's not only found in England. They don't say it's only found in England. They are talking about all Europe. They say even credit across Europe and overseas. And they're talking about all Europe because you're talking about Europe generally here. So they only say English innovation because it's a new development introduced by the English. Okay. So your answer would be B. It would be correct if it said like here, it was only found in England. And also, I have like that issue with the word agreement there. Like it's not an agreement. Okay, that word is very strange. You don't say that a company, public company that like issues stock, it's an agreement. Okay. Uh, it's not an agreement. Okay, that's something that I can tell you for sure. It's not an agreement. It's not that word. Okay. So that's why it's not B. It's not only found in England, basically, because it says that they're talking about Europe generally here. They're talking about Europe generally. They only mention England because they're talking about this innovation. Okay, I don't know if that's clear.
Yes, teacher. I say that is D, not B.
Ah,
Just
you said D. Oh,
yeah.
oh, sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was
Don't
wondering
worry.
why B. Okay, a type of partnership based on English law. Okay, yes, this is closer.
Yeah,
B.
but
Okay,
they
a
don't
type of
say
partnership. Good.
anywhere the law. Yeah, the law word
They don't talk
says
about the English law.
yes.
Okay, so yes, it would be misleading. Yes, it's a type of partnership. Yes, this is true. It's a type of partnership. Yes, it's true. Based on English law. Mm, it would be close, but they don't mention any law. Okay, they don't mention any law. Uh, a type of partnership based on English law. They say an English innovation. Okay, this could have been true. Okay, but let's go to the question here. English innovation, because it's a type of partnership, this joint stock partnership. It's a type of partnership, yes, based on English law. They don't mention in law, but you could have said that, I don't know, they started in England, right? They were originally based on English law. You could, it could be possible. But the question is, like, if the question was, what is a joint stock partnership? Okay, you could say D. It would be a possibility. Not very clear though, but it's not completely wrong either. But the question is the phrase an English innovation. Okay, so this is closest meaning to. Let's go to the word innovation, right? So that's why it's A. Okay, it's A because it's closest meaning to a new development introduced by the English. Innovation, right? So don't think don't think too much in this question. Okay, any other question there? Okay, no more questions. Thank you very much for asking the question. Okay, let's do this very quickly. I think we're not gonna have enough time, okay? Okay, let's finish here. We're not gonna have enough time. Okay, let's see how we did. Okay, I hope everything was correct. Where are the answers here? Yeah. So this was B. This was C. Yes, important. Remember. D. Yes. A. Yes. A. Yes. B. Yes. B. Yes. C. Yes. C. Yes. Banks. Yes. A. Okay, so that was true. Okay, we got everything correct. So the answers that I told you were actually correct. I was I really uh I was worried about that, but I think everything was correct. So let's do the poll, fellas. I think please answer the poll. And uh if you answer the poll, you can leave. Okay, thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed more this class than the previous one. It's much better. Let's see in the polls if you like this. Yes, everybody participated. Pretty good marks. Thank you very much.